Today, let's make an old-fashioned yellow butter cake. This recipe is over 100 years old and it's an all-American classic. You're gonna love how soft and moist this cake turns out, and that creamy chocolate frosting is absolute heaven. And the best part, the cake batter is an easy one-bowl recipe. This cake is perfect for birthdays, picnics, or even just an easy weeknight dessert. So sit back, relax, and let's learn how to make it. Before you begin, you want to take two 8-inch cake pans, grease them, and line the bottoms with parchment paper. You also want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Here I have 2 cups or 240 grams of all-purpose flour, and I'm going to give you a little secret that's not in the original recipe. I'm going to remove a 1/4 cup of it by just spooning it into the measuring cup like this, so it stays nice and light. I'm going to level it off. And I'm going to replace it with a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. And what I've just done here is turn the all-purpose flour into cake flour. It's a totally optional thing to do, but it will give you a lighter, fluffier cake, and I do it almost every time I bake a cake like this. I'm going to add this right into a sifter, along with 1 1/4 cups of sugar, so that's 1 1/4, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to give that a little mix and sift that right into my mixing bowl. Alright, now right here I have 1/2 cup or 125 grams of butter, and I just want you to see how soft that is. You have to use really soft butter. I'm going to add that right into the dry ingredients. Now with an electric mixer, I'm going to beat this till it's nice and incorporated. The original recipe says to add the milk and vanilla at this stage also, but I found that doing that gives you a tougher cake, so just start with the butter first. If you get a lot of stubborn pieces of butter that aren't breaking down, just use your fingers to sort of crumble them in, but this is going along pretty well. It really does help to use nice soft butter. Alright, once your mixture looks really evenly incorporated like this, now you can start adding in 1 cup of milk. Just going to add it in gradually because this is kind of flying all over the place. Alright, here comes the other half going in. So we have our milk and a teaspoon of vanilla, which I love measuring with my heart. If a little more goes in there, I don't care. I love vanilla. I'm beating this on fairly low speed. I'm going to mix it for about a minute or minute and a half. And I am going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. Don't forget to do that. It's very important to get everything mixed in there. Okay, we'll just keep mixing it here. After about 1 to 1.5 minutes of mixing, I'm going to add 2 eggs, one at a time. So, don't want any shells in there. Just going to use a shell to scoop it out. Of course, you can crack those eggs into a separate bowl first. Make sure there's no shells or any blood spots or anything like that. I tend to take chances when I bake. Alright, now here comes the other egg. No shells or anything weird. Good stuff. I'm going to beat this for another 45 seconds to a minute. Not too long. Just until everything is nice and smooth and well blended together. Again, I'm going to give it one last scrape. You also want to make sure that everything comes off the beaters too. There's little bits of butter and other ingredients still stuck here and there. Go for another 10 seconds or so. And that's all there is to making our cake batter. All right, now I'm gonna divide these as evenly as I can between my two greased and parchment lined cake pans. Hope that's pretty even. If not, you can always donate a little. Baking is super forgiving most of the time. Gonna smooth out the tops. For a scratch cake, this batter is pretty loose. I always like to give them a little tap before baking them. And I'm gonna bake these for 30 to 35 minutes or until a cake tester comes out clean. And all that means is when you stick a toothpick in the middle, it should come out completely clean. You can also tell they're ready when you press down really lightly in the center and it springs back like this. Your finger doesn't leave an indentation, that stays. You can also see that they turn out with these nice, beautiful light golden brown tops. A lot of scratch yellow cakes don't turn out that way, at least in my experience. Before you try to take them out of the pans, just let them sit in there for about 10 minutes. They're just way too fragile when they first come out of the oven, so it really helps to just let them chill for 10, 15, even 20 minutes. You don't want to have your cakes fall apart after all the work of baking them. So just loosen the sides like this, kind of set them free from the pans, and you can just give them a very light tap. Sometimes you have to turn it around. And that parchment paper on the bottom really helps them release easily. So we'll do the same thing here. Give that a good tap. Rotate it around. And out it comes. All right. I just want you to see how soft that cake is. You know, that reverse creaming method, adding the butter right to the dry ingredients instead of creaming it with the sugar, really gives you a nice, soft, fluffy cake. If you saw my Starbucks lemon loaf copycat recipe, that one also uses reverse creaming method, and I'll link that video in the description in case you want to see it. While our cakes are cooling, I'm gonna make a really quick and easy chocolate frosting. You're gonna love how easy this is. I'm gonna start with half a cup of butter, and I'm gonna melt that in our little saucepan here. I'm gonna put the heat on kind of medium-low. I'm just gonna move it around so it gets completely melted. Now I'm gonna add 2/3 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. So there we have 2/3. I'm just gonna stir that around so that they get really well blended. So this here is called, what we're doing is blooming the cocoa powder, and when you melt it together with butter like this, it'll really bring out the chocolate flavor. It's a really important step in any type of baked good that you make with cocoa powder. All right, I'm gonna take that off the heat and add it into a mixing bowl. So I'm just gonna use my spatula now to get every little bit out. There we go. Now I'm gonna add half a teaspoon, of salt. And now I'm gonna start adding in about 2 to 3 cups of icing sugar. And in keeping with our idea that this is an old-fashioned cake, I'm not even gonna bother using the electric mixer to make this frosting. I'm just gonna use a good old-fashioned spoon and start mixing that icing sugar in, or confectioner's sugar, or powdered sugar, whatever you wanna call it. Just gonna vigorously mix that in. Because we melted that butter, we don't really have to worry about cracking out that electric mixer. Mixing this by hand is just so easy to do. Now I'm gonna add a 2nd cup of icing sugar. Just mix it in like so. And now at this point, I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of milk. I should mention that milk is room temperature. And I know I'm gonna be adding another cup of confectioner's sugar, very likely. And here comes our 3rd cup of powdered sugar. You're just gonna wanna keep adding powdered sugar until it reaches the spreading consistency you want, which you want it to spread quite nicely. Now you might need a little bit more icing sugar until it reaches the consistency you want. But before we do that, I'm gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla. It's gonna give it a nice extra flavor. All right, here comes an extra half a cup of icing sugar because I feel like it just needs that extra little bit of spreading consistency. Also, make sure that your icing sugar is not clumping up at all. If it's all lumpy, then you might want to use your electric mixer. You can either sift the icing sugar in or use the electric mixer. Now my kitchen is very hot right now. It's August and we're having a very hot summer for Canada. I did have to pop this in the fridge for a few minutes so it would stiffen up a bit, but I'm pretty happy with this consistency right here. Now I'm going to take my cake layers here, and of course you want these to be cooled completely before you try to frost them. I'm going to take a little bit of my frosting here and just put a little dollop on the plate like that. That'll prevent your cake from slipping around. And I'm going to take my nicer cake layer and save that for the top. These both look really nice, so I'm just going to grab this one for the bottom. And of course, don't forget to take off that parchment paper from the bottom. I'm going to place this right onto the plate. And one thing you can do to keep your plate nice and clean, slip a few strips of parchment paper underneath the cake at the edge like this, all the way around. That's going to protect that rim of the plate from getting icing on it, and it'll really make your life easier. Okay, now I'm gonna put a good dollop in the middle and just spread that all the way around, like so. I think I'll put a bit more on there. Yeah, I like a good amount in the middle of the cake. Now I'm gonna take the paper off that second layer of cake. Some people like to put it on upside down like this, but I'm just gonna be really traditional and go with the original side up. And now the best way to do the rest is to just put all of the icing right on top of the entire cake. The rest that's in the bowl. Just dump it all on there. And now very quickly, just let it fall down the sides of the cake. And there will be enough. Try not to fuss with it too much. I always like to be really fast when I do this part. Oh boy, my kitchen is so warm. I know that if it were a little cooler in here, this would be a bit easier. But I think it's gonna be okay in the end. Trying so hard not to make it lopsided here. Once I get the icing all placed, I like doing these little swirly things on top. Do some swirls on the sides. And of course you can use any chocolate frosting recipe you want. This recipe is more about the cake than the frosting. I just happen to choose this one. I think it was the original Hershey's chocolate icing recipe. And now because we had this paper underneath, now all we have to do is pull it out carefully and the plate is nice and clean. Makes things so much easier. Pull out the last one. All right, there we have it. Well, aesthetically, I've done much nicer cakes than this, but it is very hot in here. So I'm gonna get this into the fridge and let it set up for a bit before we cut into it. And like I predicted, as finicky as that frosting was, this cake turned out to be perfect. All it needed was a good chill in the fridge. So don't fret if you find yourself in the same position. After all, you can use any chocolate frosting recipe you want or any flavor frosting. But the yellow cake and chocolate frosting combo really is a classic. I have to say that this image right here makes me want to paint a picture of it. But I don't think I can wait that long, so let's dig in. I wish you guys can experience how soft and moist this cake turns out. And when I first tried that reverse creaming method, I thought the exact opposite would happen, but it doesn't. You can really tell that this cake was made with real butter, fresh eggs, and milk. And believe me when I say, it's way better than any cake that was made from a mix. Now, I don't normally mash my cake in my fork like this, but I just want you to see how moist and fluffy it is. Betty Crocker would be so proud. And it wasn't even that hard to make either. In fact, it was a piece of,